This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Good night of Shabbos. Welcome everybody. We're continuing in Mishna Daf Hashavua. Maybe many of you have heard our Beis Medrash is having its annual campaign starting Matzah Shabbos for 48 hours. It's charity.com/MMH. We're learning Siman Sadi, Seif Tes. We're in the middle of Seif Tes. We're up to Mishna Seif Katan Lamed, because the Ramah here says, the Mechaber said that you should try to daven in shul with a minyan, and if you have extenuating circumstances, you should try to target at the time that Tzibbur is davening. So the Ramah says, "V'hu hadin bnei adam adarim b'yishuvim ve'en la minyan." If you live in an outlying area and there is no minyan, mikol makom yispalu shachris va'arvis b'zman shatzim masal. You should daven shachris and mariv at the time that the Tzibbur davens. Now, why does the Ramah only say mariv? Not sure. That's interesting. By Hilchais Elul, the Ramah says that the minhag is to blow shofar, shachris, and arvis, and Rav Moshe has a tshuva that arvis means mincha. So l'chayr, the same thing over here. It doesn't just mean arvis; it means in the evening, meaning morning and night. Bizman shatzim mispalen. So it's not just if you're ill and you can't make it to your local shul, but also the outlying areas should have kavana to daven at the time that Tzibbur is davening. So the question is, this halacha, I think, has fallen into disuse, mainly because in most big communities they're minyanim every 10 minutes. But l'chayra, one should still, so to speak, calculate. My minyan is starting now. See, the thing is, here I think this halacha is misunderstood. I never really thought about it until now. In other words, it's not the pshat, my regular minyan starts at 7, so I'll start davening at 7. No, it's irrelevant. We don't care when your minyan starts, and we don't care when you start. It's my minyan starts Shemona Esrei 7:25. I'm going to get up to Shemona Esrei 7:25. Okay? We don't care what time your minyan starts or what time you start, because that's not Tefillah B'Tzibur anyway. It's what times is the Tzibbur daven Shemona Esrei. Okay? V'chein im nenas. Let's say you have extenuating circumstances. Well, yispalo b'shash yispalo hatzibur, v'hu mispalo b'yachid. Let's say you have extenuating circumstances, and you did not daven at the time that Tzibbur is davening, and you're davening by yourself. Afal pikein yispalo beis hakneses. If you can't make it to a minyan, you should go to a shul. So, two things. If you can't make it to the shul, you should daven at the time that Tzibbur is davening. If you can't daven when the Tzibbur is davening, at least you should make it to a shul. That's the advantage of davening in a shul with a minyan. You see that? You see how important it is to not to daven in a shul. That's the advantage of starting Shemona Esrei with the Tzibbur. You're in a shul and you're davening with a minyan. You get both of these things. Many people daven in the coat room don't get either.
There's an option to daven now at home in the Siman of the Tzibbur versus later I can get out and I can go to a shul, but it won't be the Shosh Tzibbur following.
You want to know if you have a choice between being mispala b'shash Tzibbur mispalalim or v'chein im nenas or being mispalel in the basic nesses, what takes precedence? Doesn't say. Let's see in the Mishna. Siv katan lamed yechavin lespal v'davkim trichala milsa la'asaf asara. If you live in a yishuv, in an outlying area, you should daven when the Tzibbur is davening. So how about collecting a minyan? It's talking about where it's too big of a tircha. You're not going to be able to do it. What's considered a tircha that you do or don't have to make a minyan? If you have people who work for you that could gather the 10 for you, you should have them do it. He quotes the Smag, Berura in the Magen Avram, that you don't have to sort of bother others unless they come on their own. I guess the nafkamina would be, you're in an airport. The question is, should you go over to every guy with a yarmulke and say, oh, come, you want daven, you want to daven? So according to the second pshat in the Magen Avram, you wouldn't have to do this. According to the first pshat, it's not clear what he means if you have mesharsim. Okay, Sivkat and Lamed Aleph. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of Sivkat and Lamed. Masha be Avodah Zarah daf daven on the base. The mispalam musaf b'shah shatzir mispalam shachris loy mikri b'shah shatzir mispalam. If you're davening musaf at the time the tzibur is davening shachris, that's not called you're davening at the time of the tzibur. Mispali imam b'veis hakneses. But what if I'm davening with them in shul? I roll in musaf time. I roll in musaf time and I want to daven shachris. Or vice versa. They're up to shachris, I want to daven musaf, mikri tfilas hatzibur. I'm still davening b'tzibur. I'm not yotzei b'shah shahatzibur mispalalem, but I'm yotzei tfila b'tzibur. So that's very interesting. By the way, so that means when you come to shul, you should be mechavein 3 things. Okay, we need to get like maybe a bookmark. Okay, when you daven, you should think, I'm now being mekayim 3 mitzvahs. Mitzvah number 1, davening in a shul. Mitzvah number 2, davening b'shah shahatzibur mispalim. Mitzvah number 3, tefillah b'tzibur. These are 3 distinct aspects. There's a mitzvah to daven in a shul building. There's a mitzvah to daven at the time that tzibur is davening. It doesn't matter where you are. In other words, you could be elsewhere. You could be in a different room. But you're davening the same tefillah as the tzibur, whether you're there or you're not there. And then there's a third mitzvah to be with a minyan. These are 3 distinct mitzvahs, and they're unrelated. They're not connected. They're independent. Okay? So you have 3 more things to think about in the morning. Because l'chayra, do mitzvahs trichas kavana to be mekayim these mitzvahs? Do you need to be mechavein? I have kavana to be mekayim the mitzvah of tefillah b'tzibur. I have kavana to be mekayim the mitzvah of tefillah b'beis hakneses. I have kavana to be mekayim the mitzvah b'shah shatzibur mispalalim. Or are they halachos? Do you need to be mechavein to be mekayim a halacha, or is it just a halacha? Like, when I cut the bottom challah tonight, do I need to be mechavein to be mekayim the mitzvah of cutting the bottom challah, or I just cut the bottom challah? You think it's so simple over here? I'll give you what to think about. Lamaisa, in Rav Aaron Leib Steinman's, I'm going to bring you a raya now. I never even thought about this. But in the merit of Zois Chukas HaTorah, it's mashpia on the zman. Friday, Zois Chukas HaTorah, it's not only for tragedy, it's Zois. I'm going to bring you a raya, you do have to be mechavein. Rabbi Aaron Leib Steinman in his Sefer has a list of 10 kavanas to have, or more even, when you start Shemana Esrei. One of them is you should be mekayim, you should have kavana to face Yerushalayim. What do you mean? Just face Yerushalayim. I have to look more carefully at the lashon, whether it means to face Yerushalayim or to have kavana to be mekayim that halacha. I guess that would be. You have the ayelas hashachar and tefillah? We'll look at that. Okay, weiter. So the reason I'm bringing this out is the Berura is spelling out very clearly. If you daven musaf at the time that tzibur is davening shachris, you're mekayim tefillah b'tzibur. You're not mekayim tefillah b'shah shahat tzibur mispalalim. So I argue that if you're mekayim tefillah, you're certainly mekayim shah shahat tzibur mispalalim. That's talking about where you're going to be second. That's the chiluk that he's making is when you're at home davening shachris along with musaf. It's not b'shah shahat tzibur mispalalim. If you're at basic knesses and you're davening along with the tzibur, even if it's 2 different tefillas, how can it be tefillah tzibur and not tefillah tzibur mispalim? Tefillah tzibur is it's included. I mean, here, look at the words. He says, you're right. If you're not in shul, lo mikri b'shash masalim. V'masalim ma basic nesses mikri tfilas hatzibur. You're saying kol shekain b'shash hatzibur maspalim?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm thinking about maybe not because you're davening a different tefillah.
Right. That's what I was saying. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's a different tefillah, so you're not. It's not the right Siman for what you're davening. You're really davening.
By the way, that's how I read it. The Dirshu brings that the Sefer Chavatzel's Hasharon, I don't know why, I mean it's a great Sefer, but it's interesting that they're quoting it. He says, he's reading the Mishnah Berura, that it's called Tfilas Hat Tzibur, but not Tfila Bit Tzibur, meaning it's, in Mispal Imam, it's only considered Bishash Hatzibur Mispalim. You hear this? That's exactly opposite how I read it, and you all nodded your heads, so you're all guilty. But I would disagree with how he's reading it. In other words, you could ask, why does the Mishnah Berura say it's mikri tfilas hatzibur? Why does it? It's mikri b'shash hatzibur mispalim. Is that what it means? We have to look up the tzlach, yeah? So the shaila is, if you're mispalel musa b'shash hatzibur mispalim shachris loy mikri b'shash hatzibur mispalim. But if you're davening with them in shul, it is called b'shash hatzibur mispalim. We have to look it up. I was reading it, it's called Tefillah B'Tzibur, but Chavatzel's Hasharon reads it, it's called B'Shash Hatzibur Mispalim, and it's not called Tefillah B'Tzibur. I thought it was Tefillah B'Tzibur. I thought if you davened Chveis, if you davened Marev, you want to daven Marev, and you're in Tzibur, they davening Mincha. It's not called Tefillah B'Tzibur? Weiter. Yispalalu shachris. So you should daven shachris amarav. We must hakayis in the summer shatzum ma'achrin tefil shachris. The Tzibbur is ma'acher shachris. V'hadar b'yishav asar afil lumoid. And if you're living in a yishav, you can't even learn. Chumash because of Siman peites of vav the Siman reish lamed beis shema yimshach b'limuda v'yaver zman tefil. If you're on your own without a minyan, you can't learn before you daven. So then what? You're going to wait until 9 a.m. The guy woke up at 4 a.m. What's he supposed to do for 5 hours? Therefore, it's better for him to daven immediately by nates. Especially nowadays, the bekilos gedolos mispalim take of misher haboiker. Then the big shuls they daven by daybreak. Since there is a minyan then. Bizman shatzibur perish b'shah shakilos yisrael mispalim. Uva Ashkenaz shenoagu lahakdim arvis k'mash kaz Siman reish lamed hey yachid adar bekfar oy baderach tzarich lahamtin ad seis hakoychavim. If in your community they daven Marav early, do not daven Marav b'yechidus early, daven bizmanoi. By the way, once we're on the topic, they have these shuls that they daven Marav at Plaga Mincha. You're not really allowed to do that. You got to daven Marav at least after Shkia, preferably after Tzeis, but at least after Shkia, unless you do it every single day. If you don't do it every single day, you can't do it once in a while when it's convenient for you. Okay, so much so, listen to this, so much so that this is what the Mishnah Berura is saying, that if you're living in the boondocks, and your local shul, they daven at Plag for whatever reason, because otherwise they'll never make a minyan, you can't daven then. Better to daven bismanoi than b'shash hatzibur mispalim. Afal pikein. Afal pikein. Mibnei shu makom kavua. Okay, now the Mechaber says 3 halachas. One is you should try to daven in shul with the Tzibbur. And if you can't make it to the shul, daven at the time the Tzibbur is davening. And also, if you can't make it you can't daven at the time the Tzibbur is davening, daven in a shul. So Mendy wanted to know what's more important, davening at the time that the Tzibbur is davening or davening in a shul. I think davening at the time the Tzibbur is davening. Because he's saying it sort of in order of importance. You should try to daven in a shul with the Tzibbur. The only thing is, you could say, and if you can't do that, next best is Bishah. And then next best, unless you say, I'm bothered by the lashon of the Mechaber, V'chein imnenas v'lo hispalel. What's the V'chein there? What do you mean V'chein? How's it V'chein?
Seems like it's for the other. Imnenas v'lo hispalel. You already missed the Shiur at Tzibbur. That's how I would read that.
What's the similar? How is it similar? Similarly, if you're a nenas?
Another inus. But it sounds like it's if this happens, then
why is it similarly? It should say oy. It's a different case. What's similar about it? Unless saying it's similar, it's equally b'diavad. In other words, don't be medayek that one is better than the other. That b'shah shatzivim mispalim is better than in a shul. I'm not sure. Okay.
If you live in Yishuv, then you're an enos. That's what the v'chein is. He's going.
If you live in a Yishuv, see the thing is though, the Mechaber is not going on the Ramah. The Mechaber didn't know what the Ramah said, right? So it's v'chein im nenas v'lo b'shah v'lo b'shah shesval tzibur. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah Sifat Lam Gimel. We'll stop here. Afal pikein b'mnei shu makom kavua l'kedusha utfilas miskavel sham yoser. It's a set place for kedusha, and your tefillah is more accepted. Upashat imu tamid chacham v'yesh chashash chil Hashem k'shiyavei achar tefillah. If you're a Talmud Chacham, or people think you are, and you're going to roll into the shul at 10:30 or at 10 o'clock, let's say, and it's going to be a Chil Hashem, then Yispalo B'Beis should daven in your house. Okay, so we have a few questions here. Number one, what is more important, Bishah or B'Beis HaKnesses? And how do you read this Mishnah Berura, that if you're davening most of the time, the Tzibbur is davening Shachris, it's not called B'Shah Shatzim Mispalim, but if you daven with them in Shul, is it called Tfilas HaTzibbur, or is it called B'Shah Shatzibur Mispalim? Okay, Rabbi Yisai, have a wonderful Shabbos. Yeah, very important homework. The second one more important than the first. In other words, how do you read the Mishnah Berura? What does it mean if you daven Musaf with them at the time that they're davening Shachris? It's Tfilas HaTzibur. Does that mean B'Shah, like the Dirshu, or does it mean B'minyan, like we learned?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.